It's 1494. Two players are gambling, and they've agreed that the first person to reach 6 points wins the entire pot. The score is currently 5-3, and then the game stops. This setup creates a deadlock, with the money already on the table. How do you divide this pot fairly? A 50-50 split robs the player closest to victory, but giving it all to the leader ignores the trailing player's mathematical path to a comeback. Solving this puzzle required a new way of looking at time. It forced us to develop mathematical tools to measure and eventually master the concept of risk. Humans have wagered on games of chance since the beginning of recorded history, yet for millennia they played without any understanding of the actual odds. This is an astragalus, a knucklebone used by ancient empires as a die. Highly irregular, some faces were physically more likely to land face up than others. The ancients never attempted to calculate those frequencies. The future was the exclusive domain of the gods, making prediction a form of spiritual trespass. Technology also stood in the way. Roman numerals lacked a zero and were structurally incapable of the calculations needed to turn random events into a predictable trend. Without the right mathematics, the future remained a black hole, a murky domain of oracles and soothsayers rather than numbers. The first breakthrough was an upgrade of our mental hardware. The Hindu Arabic numbering system brought a critical tool, 0. It allowed for written computation and abstract thinking that Roman letters could never support. Then came the Renaissance. As the Protestant Reformation emphasized individual responsibility and explorers mapped the roundness of the earth, humans stopped being passive subjects of fate. You can see this shift in Piero della Francesca's painting, the Brera Madonna. These are earthly, realistic figures. They stand with weight and muscle on the ground, grounding themselves in the physical world rather than the abstract mysticism of the past. This new sense of human agency, combined with advanced numerical tools, gave innovators the audacity to put the future at the service of the present. Girolamo Cardano, a brilliant physician with a severe gambling addiction, was the first to realize that games of chance have a hidden, rigid structure. Cardano looked past the faces of the dice and discovered combinations. He realized that when you throw 2 dice, the total number of possible outcomes is exactly 36. There are 6 different ways to roll a 7, but only one way to roll a 12. 7 isn't luckier, it is mathematically more frequent. Cardano proved that while a single toss of the dice is a whim, a long sequence of tosses is a law. In 1654, Blaise Pascal and Pierre de Fermat used this logic to finally solve the 1494 puzzle of the unfinished game. Using this geometric triangle, they mapped out every possible future sequence. They weren't guessing, they visualized every branch of potential reality. This revealed the exact probability of a comeback, roughly 34%, which determined the just division of the stakes. In their letters about a childish game, Pascal and Fermat provided the first formal definition of probability. Pascal eventually moved beyond the casino, applying this math to the existence of God. His wager introduced a revolutionary concept, utility. He realized that a rational decision isn't just about the odds of an event, it's about weighing those odds against the ultimate value or consequence of the outcome. This logic birthed modern decision theory, the framework we use to choose a course of action when the results are uncertain. This Boeing 747 is the ultimate application of those 17th century letters. Engineers use probability theory to calculate the likelihood of malfunctions and errors, building in safety margins that turn space and sky into manageable environments. We used the same math to defeat diseases like polio. By blending new information into old data, we can mathematically prove if a vaccine works, transforming a public health gamble into a calculated success. The word risk comes from the early Italian risicare. It means to dare. Today, we no longer view the future as a whim of the gods. Because we can measure risk, it is no longer a fate, it is a choice.